And we start with some overnight news this morning. Paseo del Norte is back open at this time after rollover shut down a portion of the road around 1 o'clock this morning. Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies responded. A portion of Paseo was blocked off while crews helped to clear the road there. The victim was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. It's unknown at this time what led to the crash. We will continue to update the story for you on our KRQE News app. Turn out to news happening today. Both sides in the James Boyd preliminary hearing will present closing arguments for a judge later this morning. After 6 days of testimony, both sides rested their case Monday. A judge will now decide whether retired APD detective Keith Sandy and Dominic Perez will go to trial on murder or lesser charges. The most recent testimony came from K-9 handler officer Scott Weimerskirch. He was closest to Boyd that day, standing about 8 feet away, and he defended the officer's use of force that day.
By shooting Mr. Boyd, what did Officer Perez and Detective Sandy do for you?
Saved my life.
Defense attorney Sam Bregman even stood on a platform to demonstrate Boyd had an advantage over the officers. Special prosecutors used the same platform to argue Boyd was turning away from officers when he was shot. We will be back in the courtroom this morning, live streaming closing arguments for you starting at 8:30 a.m. You can find it on our KRQE News app or our website, krqe.com.
Also in court, 2 APD officers took the stand defending the shooting. One sergeant told the judge he would have shot Boyd were he in the same position as Sandy and Perez.
Numerous times he said that he would kill us, that we weren't going to go home for our families tonight, that he hoped we were prepared to die.
The officers testified that Boyd was very threatening and that all less lethal options had failed. But prosecutors pointed out that another nearby APD officer was providing lethal cover that day and did not feel the need to shoot. And again, remember to stay with KRQE News 13. We'll be live streaming today's closing arguments on the KRQE News app. No word on how long the judge will take to decide if Sandy and Perez will go to trial or have those charges drop.
Happening this morning, APD is still looking for a car thief who broke into someone's home last night while trying to run from police. It happened on Carlisle near Silver. APD was following a stolen car when the driver noticed police on his tail. He stopped, took off running, then tried to get into a house, but someone inside the home fired a shot in the air to scare him away. Police are still searching for the suspect at this time. We turn now to this developing story this morning. State Representative Stephanie Mayes's son is accused of murder. Her 18-year-old son is accused of taking part in the drive-by shooting of Jaden Chavez Silver, a 17-year-old Manzano High student who was at a party back in June when he was shot and killed. Coming up in our next half hour, Mayes faces her critics and explains why she wasn't at her son's first court appearance.
Happening today, absentee voting for a very special election brought on by some senior citizens. It asks voters to help them get back to the Sunport after being forced out by the county. I should say the Spaceport. When the Spaceport Visitors Center was open last month, the senior citizens who used the recreation center inside were relocated, and they're not happy. They got enough signatures to force a special election, asking taxpayers to help force their move back. Seniors say taxpayers are funding the spaceport and getting little out of it, but county officials stand by the decision, saying the Visitors Center will help to boost economic development. The actual election begins September 22nd.
Developing right now, Bernalillo County is setting aside money for 2 new memorials that would honor officers killed in the line of duty. Commissioners want to install one at Arroyo del Oso in northeast Albuquerque, where there's already a large park with the police substation. The second memorial would be placed in Tijeras near the James McGrain Safety Complex. County staffers estimate each memorial to cost about $400,000.
5:05, and this morning we're getting a better understanding of why emails from the Democratic Party of New Mexico were being blocked. Officials now say the party's domain was flagged as spam 4 years ago after a state employee kept getting emails despite asking to be removed from the list. Democrats first noticed that their emails were being returned last month while trying to request voter information from the Secretary of State's office. The Secretary of State's office says they had no idea it was happening. Also developing this morning, more fallout over Hillary Clinton's email debacle. In a court filing yesterday, the State Department revealed more than 300 emails on Clinton's private account have been flagged. That's out of concerns that they may contain classified information. The FBI is currently investigating whether the Democratic presidential frontrunner sent or received classified information on an unsecured system during her time as Secretary of State. That's a claim that she denies.
We turn now to a live look over Washington, D.C., where the Pentagon is announcing for the first time in 6 decades, 2 women have earned the title of Army Ranger. The pair were among a group of 19 women who started the grueling Ranger course back in April. They'll graduate this Friday alongside 94 men after meeting all of the standards. Now, this is causing even more conversations today, though. Unlike the male graduates, the women cannot apply to join the 75th Ranger Regiment. The Pentagon is not expected to make a final decision about that, about combat roles exactly that the women will be allowed to fulfill until later this year. So we'll stay on top of that and let you know how it develops. We turn out to new facts this morning on how to track your kids' success.
Yeah, listen to this. Researchers say children with bigger vocabulary may do better in kindergarten. Researchers at Penn State, University of California, and Columbia found kindergartners who had a larger vocabulary at 2 were better prepared academically and behaviorally. They also note early interventions that effectively increase the size of children's oral vocabulary may help at-risk 2-year-olds. So use big words, I guess, right?
That's interesting. The video this morning shows a man being attacked after getting off a light rail train in Denver. It happened in broad daylight. Take a look at the screen right here. In it, you see 2 suspects follow the victim for a bit before one of the suspects hits the victim several times and robs him. The fight only took 40 seconds. After they were done, they both took off on foot, but not before getting caught by several cameras there. Now police want to speak with witnesses who may have a better description of the attackers. If they want to know if you know who they are, give them a call.
Finally, police in Indiana hope video captured on a cell phone will help to track down a victim and her attacker. This happened outside an elementary school. Here's the deal. A young woman appears to drag a girl to the ground, then punch and kick her. That girl then tries to walk away, but the older one catches up with her and brings her back to apologize, perhaps the attacker's sister. The school is equipped with cameras, and they hope to get a better look at the attacker so that they can get to the bottom of exactly what happened. Somebody stepped in.